Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Maharaj. Today I have privilege to interview His Holiness Bhaktimarga Maharaj on his appearance day. Today is his Vyas Puja, and I am Prasannatma Das. I am one of the stroke neurologists. So I would like to start with how you came to Krishna consciousness.
It's a big question. Maybe in short,
Yes.
I would just say that I was a youth growing up in Canada, experiencing what post-war or baby boomer culture was going through.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely entered into that period of a quest for life. I wanted to go deeper with life as opposed to just carrying on in life, paying bills, and having a few bills and thrills.
I like that.
And my search led me to meet some monks, Hare Krishna monks, and I was very deliberately going about wanting to know more about where our purpose is here in this existence. So I guess by some divine arrangement, I did bump into Krishna devotees, and through seeing them chant, second time acquiring a magazine, literature, Back to God magazine, and I read that. I was impressed. I kind of just let it be. That magazine opened me up to go beyond sort of my Christian experiences. So I could see, well, there's people of other backgrounds who also have sort of a Christian view on life.
Yes.
So it did open a lot of doors. And then the third occasion where I met devotees, it was much more profound. I invited them to my apartment. And from that, they stayed overnight. They slept on the floor. I slept on the bed. I was curious. I asked a lot of questions. And I was also observing them very intently to see how are they different from the party goers, like amongst my friends, and the regular status quo.
Yeah.
So I was very impressed with what I saw. I saw what was not perfect in the way they carried themselves, but I saw that they were trying very hard and that they were in a better position, in my opinion, than what I was experiencing in my years growing up. And I was 20 at the time. I was a fine arts student. And I was trying to find myself through fine arts.
Fine arts.
Couldn't really find myself beyond the paint and the plaster and all the other mediums that I was working with. But I did find it through friendship. I was really looking for a true blue community. I wanted to go very grassroots with my life. And I just didn't feel it was necessary to simply follow what everyone else was doing. I really wanted to explore and maybe live a little bit slightly dangerously. When I say slightly, I mean it. That was the way we were. It was very liberal, it is more conservative now. We were ready to explore and to see what else was out there in the world.
So this was 1973. You were looking for higher things in life. So
72, 73.
Yes.
I actually got serious and moved into the temple.
Which temple was it?
It was the ashram in Toronto.
Oh, okay.
It was a rented house, and we had 40 people living in there. And you were only supposed to have about 10 at the most.
Yeah.
We crammed in there packed in like some sardines or something.
When did you first met Srila Prabhupada?
My first encounter with him was actually seeing him personally was 1975.
75.
That was in February, and it was in Atlanta, Georgia. But I felt like I had already basically seen him and met him.
Okay.
Because everyone was very much habituated to hearing him from a tape recorder.
Yes.
and receiving letters on a regular basis, and there's a lot of excitement around what he had to say and what he did. News traveled very fast in those days.
Yes.
Across the continent, over the ocean. And when we opened up our mission in India, then even more, we became very, let's say, a global reality.
Yeah. So I'm very interested in the way you walk, because as a physician, we always give the medicines, but the real medicine is simple things in life, like eating good food, walking. So I want to hear from you, like the experiences. Your first walk was 1996. Can you please tell us about that walk, because it was the challenging walk, because it was the first walk. So can you please tell a few?
Well, I had a strong passion. I wanted to do something very, well, I guess you could say even heroic,
Yes.
for Prabhupada, our guru, who started the mission. And it was going to be his centenary, the 100th year.
Oh, that's
96.
the reason. Okay.
So 95 also was very interesting how it worked out synchronicity-wise. It was kind of a difficult year for me. I'd spent a lot of time in the ashram and involved in management, cooking, cleaning. I had done various services for the community, and as well as a lot of outreach. And I thought it was time to do something different. So I wanted to do what a sannyasi is obliged to do, which is to travel and do it in the most simple way possible. To go on the 2 feet, move my legs, move my limbs, and just go out and meet people and let nature take its own course.
Wow.
Take in whatever comes of its own, nature.
Wow.
And in that regard, I learned some detachment from it, the spirit of detachment, and I think I developed a few more skills just to communicate, because instead of just being sort of locked into an ashram, so to speak, and not be in touch with the world, I thought, let me be in touch with the world. Let me get a little extroverted and gain some experience, and get out of what might be a little bit of shyness, and go out there, meet media people, meet the officials, the officers, meet the miners, the farmers, the corporate individuals, and whoever may come along the way, and create a minor sensation, I guess you could say, of that.
Yes.
And a curiosity, and that happened was supposed, and I wanted to have a lot of fun, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting you talk about joy and fun. Can you share some of the fun experiences you had in, many of these walks? Just few of them.
Well, there's adventure that comes along with it.
Yes.
And it's the vistas, the beauty of the world around you. And in addition to that, just seeing the wildlife in its setting. And sometimes, taking a position of fear and caution as you step along your way. And as far as fun goes, I think the sheer joy of being outdoors, and then letting adventure take its, unfold itself on a daily basis. That was the real fun aspect of it. It's an opportunity to do a lot of chanting and a lot of speaking engagements. Let's say, avail themselves to us. And when I say us, I did have a support person always.
Yes.
And so the joy of it was doing something for Guru, and feeling that making a contribution to the world, and encouraging people to get back into pilgrimage. That means introspective walking. Walking is what's naturally what comes to us based on our structure, our physical structure. We're meant to walk, and yet we find we live in a world where people are not taking such strong advantage of that.
Yeah, as a physician, I completely agree with you. Like, it's so important to walk. And today's morning class also, you were mentioning about, the experiences where the cops came from two directions and they want to take a picture
Yeah.
with you. That's very interesting. Every day it's
Yeah.
so many, unplanned experiences. So you walked across Canada 4 times.
Yes.
So how many miles is one coast to another?
Well, the first time I did Canada, we're looking at, to give a round figure, 8,000 kilometers.
8,000 kilometers from one coast of Canada to another.
Yes, yes.
And
So you're going from the furthest most stretches, like
yeah.
from Vancouver Island to Newfoundland.
Newfoundland, okay.
And then I've taken different routes since that time, always a different highway.
Okay.
And when I did America, it was from Boston, pretty much straight across to
Yeah.
San Francisco.
How much is that distance?
3,000 miles. I can say.
3,000, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, it's 3,000 miles.
Miles, yeah.
Okay, 3,000
You have to
miles.
convert it
Yes,
to
in the
kilometers if you want, yeah.
4,500. So apart from these two countries, any other countries you walked? Spain?
Yeah, well, I only touched Spain for a couple of days on the famous Camino, but I've done Ireland and Israel and Guyana and Trinidad and the Mauritius, as well as the Fiji and islands.
Wow.
We've got our eye on a few other places. But the two countries in North America, the two northern countries, minus Mexico, it was, they're the bigger places. And incredible diversity of terrain and peoples. And that's what's kind of fun about it all. Every day you're seeing different flora and fauna. It's never a dull moment, I can say that for sure.
How was the walk in Israel? How long is the walk, and any
Well, there is a trail, a national trail in Israel, and a lot of it hugs the Mediterranean Sea.
See, oh,
And that would be on the east side. So I did walk a bit inland also,
okay.
through some of the stretches near Jordan River, and also a piece down more in the south, going in the westerly direction. Yeah.
And even how about in Guyana and Trinidad? Is it more challenging walk in Guyana?
Well, culturally, Guyana and Trinidad have a little more attuneness to what we believe and what we follow, and so it was easy from that perspective. But heat and humidity is not my favorite conditions, and so that was that. And then of course Ireland was full of rain every day. It's a very beautiful place, and it's rich in culture. What I really suffered from there was a little bit of lack of interaction with people. There was good media attention, but the weather was a little restricting, and I found that a lot of places, lots, and people's properties are, let's say, bordered by walls and blackberry bushes, and it was a little hard to access folks. And there was a tremendous amount of rain. So you'll find that anywhere, whether it's Canada, the US, or anywhere, if it's raining, people tend to stop less and talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a little more tension, I think, behind the wheel for the motorist.
Yeah.
So they're just not quite sure, if they see someone walking on the side in the rain, they think it must be an insane person to walk in the rain. Already as it is, it's such a novel thing for people. Somebody's walking, and this person is very unusual. It's a monk. Wow, we never see monks in our territory. Yeah.
Wow. So, you've been in ISKCON for 40 plus years. So what is one suggestion you give to the next generation, whoever is watching this video? What we have to offer to the world? What are the main things?
Well, we have Krishna.
Yes.
We have the warm, charming, playful God, and with that we like to share him and his his wonderful pastimes and his wisdom found in Bhagavad Gita. So I would say that, you know, for the coming generation, it's good to, you know, be relevant and to be able to take the core values that we have and live by and share them with people in the most newcomer-friendly way, and in a creative and artistic way that would ring true with them, you know. And whatever was working in 1973 or 72 when I got involved, those approaches may have to be somewhat adjusted because we do live in a different world now.
Yes.
Many things have happened since that time. I mean, let's say there's been economical downturns and upswings since those, you know, since the late 60s. There's been 9/11, and that just that changed the world substantially. The security issue. There's been on our good side. I think that when we first came in on the scene, we were a curiosity, and Hare Krishna members were then in a second phase perceived as something maybe to be watchful about. Maybe here's a sinister group, a sect or a cult. But now people have kind of grown and accepted multiculturalism, and people have got to understand that Hare Krishnas are part of a greater historical experience, you know, that dates back thousands of years, has roots from India. And people have come to know that and understand that and appreciate that. So that's what makes for a good, let's say, opportunity for our side to share.
Yeah, I think it's very, very important. And right now we are in beautiful New Brindavan, one of the first farm communities established by His Divine Grace,
Yes.
A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada. And we are celebrating 50 years this year.
Yes.
And it is very, very special, 50th year celebrations. So can you please tell your association with New Brindavan and how it evolved?
Well, I was raised on a farm in southwestern Ontario.
Yes.
So, and then I moved into an ashram in the big city, Toronto, which has now become such a mega city. And I was missing being outdoors and the open space. And
Yes.
so with my first trip over to New Vrindavan, it was 74, I felt a little bit at home to some degree. And it was the first actual, rural community established by His Divine Grace. And it was an initiative to have people understand that while there was a migration going into the cities, people were rural folks going into the urban areas.
Okay.
There was, Prabhupada was more or less saying, wait, let's reconsider. Maybe it's good if some of you who are in the cities can now go out into the countryside and see the value and the priceless worth of that, that experience of the great outdoors.
Wow. I mean, this place is, I feel like it's part of the continuation of Vrindavan from India. It's such a special place.
I would say maybe it's a little better.
Yeah.
It's a little neater,
Yeah.
more spacious, a little more
And-
clean.
And I was talking with His Holiness Varsana Maharaj that, as this is better because Mayavadis don't stay here. In Vrindavan there are Mayavadis too. So in that way, in that angle also, this is better, where devotees of Krishna stays here. So what are your next walking adventures?
Well, this year I've taken up the project to explore Spain a little bit. As I mentioned, I did
Yes.
only 2 days. That's the only time what time would allow. 2 days on the famous Camino, and then I've also gone more or less into my backyard from Niagara Falls region up to what's called the Bruce Peninsula. We're looking at almost 900 kilometers of raw foot trail over the escarpment area, which is a very worn down rock,
Yeah.
as well as in the midst of trees and mostly coniferous sort until you get a bit more north. So the experience is that you see the change of flora and fauna, and it just becomes so adventurous. And it's really more of a hike than the walk. It's a bit of the, you know, the descending process, ascending process, going down into a ravine and holding on to a rock, you know, to get down, and or a tree, and things, you know, you get a little bit slippery slopes, as the saying goes. But so those are new ventures, and I'm just pacing out life because I just turned 66, and you know, the knees are not what they used to be, and so you just have to walk with a little more caution nowadays.
And you have been also working with Bhaktivedanta Medical Retreat. So, I mean, what made you interested? And it's a very interesting connection, being working with doctors.
Well,
So, what do you like, and what is your thoughts for the future?
well, what comes to mind is that with the walking ventures I do,
Yes.
it's very much about being proactive from the health perspective. And doctors also give advice along those lines. You've got to walk more. You've got to eat less of this and that.
Yeah.
And but doctors are also much more involved in reactionary. You know, like what has now been a problem. How can we try to heal?
Yes.
So I believe that the connection is there. The better lifestyle, the simple living, higher thinking. It's a quote from Gandhi, and just going out and doing what the body is meant for, which is to go out and touch nature, touch the earth, touch people, and make heart connections. And this way, we would, if more of that was implemented by society, we'd have a happier society. I also find that chanting mantras, Vedic mantras like Hare Krishna, is very much, let's say, compatible to walking.
Okay.
So while walking, what are you going to do? How do you see the sacred or divine connection through what you see around you? It's when you're chanting, you get the spiritual perspective, which is so important. In fact, what happens for me is I see a nice marriage of the physical and the spiritual worlds coming together, you know, through the avenue of chanting and walking at the same time.
Wow, very nicely said. And I always think that you are the real doctor, the spiritual doctor. Just you know, tell us a little bit about Vedic wisdom and Vedic knowledge, and how we can implement it in this complex world.
Well, one Vedic phrase, it goes like this. It says, Atato Brahma Jignasa, which simply means I've gone through many experiences, I've gone through many lives, and now I have got the human form of existence.
Okay.
Now that I'm a human, what is different, you know? I have the capacity and ability to inquire about deeper subject matters, more so than, you know, trying to find my next meal, trying to search for what I need to sustain myself. So we can give some time to this, and that is the message from the Vedas: to explore who you are, and to come to terms with that I'm not this physical being. I'm not the flesh.
Yes.
I'm not the hair, if I had some. And I am more the spirit. So identifying with the spirit, that is a constant principle. Despite the changes of the physical world, I continue to exist.
Wow, very nicely said. But I really, really appreciate your time today. This is the interview with the Walking Monk, His Holiness Bhaktimarga Maharaj. Thank you so much.
And thank you.
Hare Krishna.